And welcome back, everybody. Here is a lock that's been on my bucket list to make a key for. It is kind of a semi-rare Miller padlock, and many of you die-hard collectors will recognize this style for the popular Pennsylvania Railroad padlock design that was used extensively. But this lock has quite a different keyway. It's kind of a wavy pattern. And the original key would have been stamped steel or called corrugated. Well, I don't have a press to do all that, but I do have a mind and I do have the ambition to try to attempt to make a key for this lock. And one of the things that I've done in the past was jigging my drill press table at a 45-degree angle to make all those cuts. Well, that's just utterly ridiculous, and even though it does work, it's just something I don't recommend doing. So what I have here is a plate of beryllium bronze, and what I've done is cut out scribed out a key blank, and I'm using this edge and this edge as my square, and this whole thing will be perfectly laid into my vise on my XY vise. So what I decided to do was try out this cutter right here, and this just happens to be the matching angle for this lock. If you look here, this matches perfectly. And what I also did was I took a little spring steel wire and I made a staple to figure out what the width of the key has to be, and that turns out to be 0.412 inch. So what can I do to improve the process to make it more foolproof and repeatable? Well, it turns out that the peaks of the cuts are 0.145 inch apart, and I had to do kind of an interlocking pattern on the other side, always using this edge as my measurement. And so there are certain cuts that I have to do on this side. I have to do this one, this one, this one, this one. So this one requires 4 V-notch cuts all the way down up to this stopping point here. And this one only requires 3. So as long as I don't take it too deep, I should be okay. My only concern is that the cutter might decide to try to go around the plate. Sometimes these cutters, they have a mind of their own. One other thing I can do to improve the machining process is I thought about making little collars, and the collars could be removed so that I could change the height of the bit without actually having to adjust the table. There's all sorts of problems that you get into when you adjust tables because they don't always realign in the same plane, and I can't have that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some aluminum bushing material, and I'm going to make about, I think, 4 on one side and 3 on the other, so 7 collars. And these collars will change perfectly in order to change the height of the cuts on the key. And in theory, it should work. Other than that, once the cuts are made, then it's just a matter of cutting this out and then grinding this out, drilling this out, and then taking an impression of the picked lock. This is something that I described in my second book, The Extreme Antique Padlock Collector, the process for picking these locks. They're not terribly hard. You just have to be patient and know what you're doing. The thing about these locks is that they're often obtained with the plug all corroded out. This one thing about these locks is that they use a cheap die-cast material that is very susceptible to corrosion, and often you find these all pitted up. So if you ever buy one of these, always insist that you get a photograph of the keyway, because a lot of times they're really bad. Well, I guess I'll have to do a follow-up video once this is all done. I guess the only thing I can add is I did use some of the geometry of this key right here to help make this. I am familiar with what the original key blank would have looked like. I don't have one of those key blanks anymore, so in theory I'm going to get it really close. So I'll do a follow-up video and show you the key blank, and hopefully I don't screw it up. Thank you for watching.